What's up, fellow Lords of Gaming, and welcome back to Marvel Future Revolution. I wanted to get into this video and show you guys the ways in which you complete the invasion mode in this game. Tier 5. It's not as difficult as it seems, and I think this run, while it was not the greatest run, it does show off exactly what you're trying to do. Number one, you don't have to beat Cull Obsidian in the first stage of the raid. There's no requirement for you to actually defeat him. The only thing that you actually need to accomplish at this point is to keep him outside of the green and get that tracking down to 0. Meaning that if you're able to get a good pairing of 4 people that can go to each quadrant, north, south, east, and west, for instance, you can pull those characters or the ads so that way they stay out of the green. This will reduce the amount of time that it actually takes for you to get into the second stage. Now, there's going to be some overlap here because some enemies just like draw right away into the green area, and you obviously have to go clean them up. But remember that in stage 1, your main objective is to keep enemies outside of the green zone. You don't want to go into the Thanos Ares mode and be under 5 minutes, and the more that you can keep that down, either through damage or through mitigation, that getting those ads out of the spawn spot is good. This is the most important spot right here. At about 50% is when Cull's gonna spawn in. Make sure that you're not in the circle at that point, because it doesn't give you a lot of time to note that his incoming is there, and if he does fall down there and you're in that pool, you are going to get killed. And you only have one revive inside the mode, so you don't want to have that down, because Ares and Thanos both have some attacks that can literally easily one-shot you. Ares more so than Thanos, because Thanos pretty much charges up his skills, and you can see those. But you'll see right here, for instance, we pull Cull outside of the green zone. I'm basically using it to try to keep him on me with Cool Whip, I think that is. Yeah, from Olympian Gods. And I'm basically trying to keep him out of the zone. I don't really care what's going in the zone. I'm trying to rely on my other teammates to keep it cleared out. What I'm trying to do is keep my back against the wall and pull him out of the green zone. As long as I can keep him out of the green zone, that tracking down Thanos time percentage will go up. Like you can see, some of the enemies have started to overwhelm them. But the main intent here, like some of my more successful runs that I've been able to accomplish here, without being carried, by the way, is literally that we just kept enemies out of the zone, and we've been able to get into into the Thanos fight with about like 6 minutes left, and that helps out immensely the time, because basically if you don't have the high grade boosters that they just introduced, your damage is basically coming from there. So if you're on the lower end of the minimum requirements, you're going to need those. So like you can see just now, we didn't defeat Cull. There was no defeat of Cull there. We just simply got the time down. That was it. Now, the main goal here with Thanos and Ares is, what you really want is to have one target isolated by one player. If you can do that, where one player is able to isolate Ares or Thanos along their sides and you attack them, that's going to be the best thing. Like you can see right now, me and Cool Whip, we basically have Thanos separated from Ares. You do not want them paired together. If they pair up together, unless you're just a really high damage dealer, this is going to be extremely difficult. So pair them up or separate them, and then it becomes even easier to worry about their attacks. Like I said, Thanos' attacks are really easy to telegraph, because he takes such a long time charging up his skills. He has this main quadrant attack right here that he does quite frequently, but it reminds me of I can't remember the old game from the 80s where it was like pop, 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 and you had to pop the colors and stuff like that. But as long as you're out of the area when it triggers, then you're pretty good. His other attacks that he has, he obviously jump slams like Maestro Hulk does. That one's easy to dodge. This attack right here, where he does 2 kind of like blasts at you, don't stand in front of it. Get to the side or left of it. It won't necessarily kill you from the first hit, and since there's such a delay in the second hit, you might be able to dodge it. This attack, however, that he throws with the bubbles, it really has no charge effect. Definitely hard to get out the way of it. But as long as you keep Thanos and Ares separated, it's much better if you have them with 3 players attacking the one character and one. Here goes something that we haven't tested out yet, and I've been trying to do with some other players, but talking in chat to people that want to do this, participate in this mode in the first place, is difficult, right? So I've been trying to see if you can just kill Ares and not have to kill Thanos and complete it as well, because I'm pretty sure I did that on one of my run-throughs, but I'm not quite sure because I was focused on Ares and he definitely was down at 0 life, but I don't know what the Thanos was. So you can see inside here, me, the Vaden, Cool Whip, we're all battling out. Doppelganger eventually drops out because of his disconnect. He gets disconnected. But this is pretty much it. It's not even that difficult. As long as you keep these players, as long as you keep the two characters separated, you should be good. Dealing damage to Thanos is not difficult at all. Like I said, most of his attacks are really charged up, so you preferably want to have him attack. Ares is a little bit more difficult because he has a couple of those winding attacks where he throws out these, like, I'm going to call them Getsuga Tenshos. He throws out these Getsuga Tenshos, and any one of those can easily one-shot you from afar. Like, just think about it in this way. Every bar of health that Thanos has at my power level, I'm at 1.1 million pretty much, would take about probably a minute to derail, 45 seconds to a minute. But you're going to see here right now, you know, we essentially whittle him down all the way. It gets to the wire, especially after Doppelganger drops out, but we eventually whittle him down. It's just a simple mechanic of keeping him. I think the main problem was when we first running in here, a lot of players were treating it like it's auto mode, you know what I mean, and the blitz or the battle challenge, and you're not really worried about the two players being together. But because Ares hits so hard with his Getsuga Tenshos, that it's like it really becomes a pain in the ass to have the two of them paired up, because any one of those Getsugas can literally just end it. And since you only have 2 revives inside here, it makes it really hard, but not so difficult overall. So here we are in the last stage of it. At this point, I'm fairly confident, but I'm getting a little bit nervous because I'm like, man, we're really at the wire here. We're at 45 seconds, and I can see me and Spider-Man are like teaming up on him. Spider-Man has decent crowd control. He's not necessarily DP king inside this game, and so I'm like worried. I'm like, man, should I pop some high grade enhancers on him? But we're whittle him down 30 seconds into it, and this is the part you see I was like, oh, I was getting ready to use the enhancers, and then he pops that goddamn quadrant ability inside there. I'm like, all right, screw it, we'll just go back in, we'll do what we got to do. I popped the high grade attacker inside there and the mid grade one, and because I didn't really want to use my other one, I was fearful about us failing, but with 7 seconds left on the clock, we defeat him. And you can see all of our scores across the board fairly even. Like, it wasn't like we were being carried by any one player, and they're doing it. Vadim did a great job at keeping Ares away from us, so it was exceptionally well. And then to finish out, I got a 6-star battle core inside here, although I already had this 6-star one. So yeah, it was a little bit difficult in that regard, but that's essentially what you're looking for. You're not looking for very much more inside there. So I'm doing some serious video editing with these, and I wanted to show you guys, just to top off on that, you know, that victory right there is my run, so that way you guys can see where my character's at. In terms of skill levels, I didn't use any of the battle badges from the actual event. So I did already have that 6-star badge, like I said. So like, Jesus Christ, where's my inventory? So if you look, I already had this 6-star battle badge, and I had one, but it just wasn't better than anything I already had equipped. And not having the 2-set effect doesn't really help with these right here. You know, like the utility of using these versus using what I already have is not there. So my battle badges, I have 5 of the strong survive level 100 badges, and then I have 105 arcane badge from the blitz, a level 5 one, not a level 6 at all. So I was completing it with that. My total hero level inside here in terms of power is 1.1 million, so I'm not too far off the cap or whatever in terms of that as well. The main thing, like I said, is literally the tactic, understanding what you're going in to do. Protect the green space, so that way they can build up that tracking status as quick as possible. Then jump into Ares and Thanos and separate them. As long as you do this, you should have a pretty decent run. I mean, at the score level that you have to get a minimum to get inside there, you should be great. Here goes the bad part that I do want to talk about with this. It's been nice in Netmarble, like they gave us like 100 more tokens. I think at some way they realized that players weren't going to be able to reach this 1600 cap. It's almost seeming impossible that players, without being able to run the level 20, they're going to be able to reach that 1600 cap. My biggest complaint about this though is the amount of work that we're putting in. Like, we've got the 4-star box, the costume box, and we got the 5-star. So these were really good rewards, but the problem is these were non-regional gear set rewards. So in a sense, they weren't really that great. I think these boxes could have been made regional set gear boxes instead. Now, the problem is that when we get to this Titan seal, right, a lot of the players, especially the whales that haven't come back yet to the game, what their primary complaint seems to be is that the game, even if they're dropping or giving us these 4-star region costume selection boxes, is that you're putting in all this work and we don't know what the stats are going to be on here. So you could end up opening this box, get a costume selection box, and get a completely dumpster fire stat roll. Like, if you looked at my gear, and I hate to say this to most people, like, because I already run into it, but if you look at my gear inside here, like my first piece of gear, I've got status effect accuracy on here. For all intents and purposes, this is dumpster. Like, that gear, the critical damage and critical rate are fine, but the status effect on there is not great, right? And if you were to look at some of my other pieces of gear, like this critical rate and critical damage, pretty good, decent in terms of that. You can see I've got critical damage, guard damage decrease, not so great, right? And then you can look at even my pants. I've got stamina recovery, cooldown decrease, and HP recovery. Those are pretty good, right? The cooldown decrease is decent, but I could really use a good reroll on this one where I don't have this status effect accuracy on it. So a lot of players are basically inside that wheelhouse of like, hey, I need to reroll this because the regional selection piece that I get, I can select it and I still might not get that great of a piece. This is why I said that the game really needs to think about where it's investing its time really in here, where they need to be able to say, look, we're going to invest in making sure that people are getting gear pieces and make sure that the stats feel rewarding when people are getting new pieces of gear, because at the current rate for you having to build up one piece of 6-star gear, it's a lot, and this event isn't going to make up for how much that is inside the game. Getting a 4-star to 6-star is still really hard, very, very hard, and it's going to take an enormous amount of time. So I think Netmarble needs to get into the habit of understanding, or not the habit, or they need to understand that the requirements to get from 1 to 6-star, or even get a piece of gear from 4 to 6-star, is quite a lot. Maybe have that box should have been a 5-star regional costume selection box, which probably would have been better, I think, overall. And maybe they should start thinking about how we re-roll stats on gears and stuff like that. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope this helps so that way you guys can get your weekend going nicely. And until next time, guys, peace.